Alright, hey you guys, it's me Elise and welcome back to my channel. So I know that I haven't made a video in about 2 years now, so it's been a minute, but I do plan on making some more videos soon. So if you guys are interested, subscribe and stay tuned for those. So as you can tell from the title below, what we're going to be talking about today is dating as a trans woman, and really in particular dating as a trans woman of color. So yes, if you're interested, keep. So first thing I want to talk about, first topic I want to talk about is being passable. So if you don't know what that is, or if you don't know what that means, or being passable, whatever that means, it's basically just when you are able to, you have like basically privilege of just walking around, no one being like, is that a trans person, no one being able to clock you. And if you don't know what clocking means, nobody's able to tell that, you're trans, or that, you're whatever else. So being passable, so the word passable, it kind of irks me and kind of makes me like, and irritates me, because what I feel like it does, it also separates trans women, or makes other trans women it makes like puts them against each other, because some who may feel like they're not on the passable spectrum, they feel as if the ones who are more passable, that their trans experience isn't the same, like it isn't as valid or wasn't as hard as theirs. So, and really at the end of the day, what I have to say to those people, because on my last video that I posted about, what was the title, like pros and cons of being passable, mind you, I was 18 in that video, so I'm 20 years old now. And really, I think I still stand by what I said, and I noticed that some people took offense to it or took it the wrong way from what I was saying. I was really saying that as a trans woman, like being more, I don't know, passable, because sometimes not everyone thinks that I'm passable. Some people can tell or can't tell, so I don't always consider myself like passable. I think I'm just living my life, and if you can tell, you can tell. It's not a secret. But I'm saying that people were, oh, you are like, you're making other trans ones, making yourself, like other trans women who aren't passable, feel bad. And that wasn't my intention at all. I was saying that basically when you're passable, you're more susceptible to get into more dangerous situations, because now people take to you more. So if you're like attractive, and this is in general, like if you're an attractive person, people will be attracted to you, and you'll get more interactions. But I feel like when you're a passable trans woman, it also allows you to be put in certain situations, like more dangerous situations actually, because now somebody can't tell, and then you guys can move and get to different levels of your relationship or wherever it was going, and then now you're in this situation that can be very dangerous and very harmful, or just a very uncomfortable situation because they didn't know you were trans, so versus someone who they can tell, they kind of have more of an idea of what you know they're getting themselves into, if that makes sense. And I hope I'm saying this right, and I don't want to offend anyone, because that was not my intention in the last video, and it's not my intention now. I'm just saying that this is what happens when, if you're passable or if you're not. Some people, it can put you in a dangerous situation. And really, at the end of the day, we're all just the same, because when they find out that we're trans, we all get treated the same. It's either you're over sexualized, or you're looked at as this weird freak pervert, or you're looked at as trying to deceive someone, and which wasn't the case at all. So that's the first thing about dating as a trans woman, is figuring out if you're passable or not passable. The second topic I want to talk about, which kind of relates more to being like a trans woman of color, and this is dealing with black men and trans women. So I've noticed, that I am pretty, and it's been like everywhere. So everyone who's trans or in the LGBT community knows that trans women are under attack right now, especially trans women of color. there's been, I believe, and don't quote me, I believe like 12 or more deaths of trans women, and all were women of color. So I feel like part of the reason is because in the black community we don't discuss sexuality or being gay. It's not a thing. Like, people, when they find out, like, when you first see me, clearly you can tell I'm African American. So, but I feel like when people find out that, oh, you're trans, like, the two become separated. Like, I'm no longer black. Like, I'm just trans. Like, first I'm black and then I'm trans. Like, first thing you see about me is I'm black. So I feel like the reason why there's been like so much, crime against these trans women is because we don't talk about it enough in the black community. Like, there's not enough discussion about being, trans and black, like, are being comfortable in this black, like, community, like, being comfortable with your sexuality. And I feel like it really revolves around, like, religion and how people's upbringing is. And work with me, we're working with natural lighting, so sorry, but it's about, people's upbringing. So a lot of people in the black community, they were brought up, religious or Christian or Jehovah's Witness, in any other religion. So they're basically brought up through a lot of religion, which I feel like people nowadays, I feel like people aren't even really that religious. I feel like it's just this thing, like the trend of, like, for black men is, it's like this ego where their ego is so fragile, I would say. And it's like, as black men, you're always raised to be like, oh, strong and macho, and you don't show your feelings, and you suppress however you feel. But what that does is it makes them, like, emotionally unstable. So then when something happens to them, like they interact with a trans woman, or something happens, or they come in contact with something that they don't understand or not used to, then the only reaction that they know how to evoke is, like, our emotion they know how to get out is violence, or using their hands, or just anything but their words. So, and it comes down to just more discussion, I would say. And I feel like more discussion in the black community will save a lot of more trans women's life, because then it'll also teach us how to be more tolerant of each other and how to take us in. Because at the end of the day, trans women of color, we're black people too. Like, we are black people. We are the black community, because when black people are getting shot by police, like, trans women are out there, and, queer people and bisexual people, gay people, we're all out there, marching with you guys, the black community, because at the end of the day, we are black and it affects us. And I just feel like what you let happen to one community, if you let the oppression of one community, like, if you let this keep happening to trans women, then you're only opening the door for more oppression to happen to, like, any other community. Because it's like, you can't say, oh, we want to stop just this oppression, but yet you guys are also the oppressors yourself, like, doing or putting on harm to the trans community or LGBT community. So I feel like there needs to be more of a discussion, and there needs to be more of a conversation that's happening, so that we can not even be so more tolerant of each other, but try to understand each other, so that way we just have a better understanding. Because, like the old saying goes, we fear what we don't understand. So if we don't understand it, then we fear it. And that's just not even has to be a gay thing or an LGBT community thing or a trans thing. Everyone fears what they don't understand, or they shy away from what they don't get. So yeah, that's topic number 2. So the third topic that I want to talk about is being overly sexualized, like, as a trans woman, like, and this happens dating too. So, like, when trans women in like the community, they're always overly sexualized, and then, like, and even in media, are like, we're always portrayed as a sex worker. So then in our dating lives, people assume that we're just these overly sexual beings, and, like, we're just very how would I say, I don't know, they think we're just very sexual beings, are like these sex machines. And that's not the case, because most of the time I'm not really open to talk about sex or to talk to, about my private areas or anything with people, because it's nobody's business, and I just don't feel comfortable with that. So like dating and trying to work around that, it kind of is a very tedious thing, because people, they don't they don't always understand that they're coming off as rude, or it's kind of uncomfortable. They're just being curious. So I try to be more understanding with that, which I think a lot of trans women do. But I think it's also very necessary for you to say, if you are trans, that this is making you uncomfortable and you don't like it, because then it just puts you in an uncomfortable situation that you really don't have to deal with. So I feel like the being over sexualized is, makes it very hard to date as a trans woman. So that's one. And then also like being kept a secret, like that right there, like you have a lot of men who want to deal with trans women. And this also goes back into why there's more deaths in the trans community, because, and like especially women of color, because there are a lot of black men and a lot of men in general who like trans women and who are sexually interested in trans women, but they want to keep it a secret, and they want to keep it as this little down low thing. And then it turns into, when it comes to the light, it turns into, this very risky, dangerous thing, because now his ego has been shattered. He's looked at as less of a man, and now he has to try to redeem himself in a way. So he, lashes out at the person whose fault it is. But really, it's no one to blame but yourself, because that's what you like, and there's nothing wrong with liking who you like, and you need to man up and like who you like. So yeah, that's one of the things. But I feel like if we talk about it once again, or stop trying to discredit other men, or make other men feel like they're gay or something's wrong with them for liking trans women, then everything would be a lot better. So another thing that I've noticed too, like dealing with men, they also have like this sense of entitlement, like not entitlement, but this like this sense, I feel like it's a sense of, we as trans women should be grateful that they would want to even talk to us, and that like we should just be grateful that someone's trying to talk to us, because I don't know, me personally, I'm not desperate. Like I will not settle, and I feel like nobody should settle. If you feel like they're not right for you, or they're treating you wrong, you shouldn't settle for less, because then you're gonna get less. So I just feel like I won't settle, and that's kind of like where conflict comes, because they feel like, oh well, who else is gonna talk to you? And I've also dated other people like where they told me, well, no one's gonna like really like you how I did, or no one's gonna take you serious like how I did. And for a minute, like when you're young and you're trying to figure yourself out and figure out who would like you, and who's out there for you, you kind of believe certain stuff like that, which isn't true, because whoever's meant for you is going to be for you. You just have to know where to put yourself in, like what to accept and what not to accept, because it's really all up to you. So I feel like the stereotype of it is a stereotype of trans women being desperate. Like I feel like it needs to be deaded, because I feel like we shouldn't be desperate. And if you do feel like you're selling yourself short, just take a minute to step back from dating and figure out what it is about you that you need to change, and what it is that you really want, because like it's no point. Like in the end, it's never gonna work. If you don't like respect yourself more, then it's never gonna work. And yeah, and like one of the last things that I really want to touch on is like men using trans women as a fetish. And I feel like this happens a lot. Like trans women are often seen like as this like experimental thing, and I hate when guys say that. Like I hate when guys say like, oh, like I just want to I just want to experience it, I want to, or I'm just I'm very experimental, I want to. First of all, trans women are not an experience. We're not an experiment either. We are humans, and we are regular women. So if you want a an experience or a experiment, go do it somewhere else, because trans women, that's not what we are. We are not just an experience, and we are not just an experiment. So that's another thing, and I feel like it also ties, into the whole fetish thing. Like, we're not a fetish. We're not just this one thing that you can figure out if you like it or not. Like, we're not these little, like, we're human. We're not objects. We're not, and I feel like even women, like, get objectified like this. Like, we're not objects. We're not yours to possess our own. We are humans, and I feel like people need to, it's about respect. It literally comes down to respect. Like, how would you feel if somebody was asking you to just be this experiment or just be this thing for their sexual pleasure? It wouldn't make you feel good. So that's just to men out there. If you are interested in dating or talking to a trans woman, do not say that you want an experience or an experiment, because it kind of sounds weird, and it is pretty weird. I tried to get as much as I could out. So, yeah, and like try to speak as well as I could. This is kind of like just off of my head. I have a few notes here, but I just want to talk about this because moving to Houston from California, I do notice that, it is a lot different here. People are not always as welcoming to, the LGBTQ, etc. community. So I just want to be a little bit more vocal here on my channel, and talk more about my experiences. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys like this video, feel free to subscribe and like. Follow me on all my social medias. I'll have them listed down below. And yeah, let me know if there's anything else that you guys want me to talk about. Like, comment down below what you want me to talk about. Comment below if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying, because that's what we are here for. We are here for a discussion, and yeah, because discussion will help. So yeah, if there's anything else you guys want me to talk about, let me know. And until next time, stay pretty.